Astounding success story of this rebel with a voice that rocked the world.
Jailhouse Rock connaît un succès fou au box-office dès sa sortie en 1957. Mais le temps est parfois cruel pour un film.
I love Jailhouse Rock. I mean, if I'm going to pick one that I saw it on television the other night, and it was so bad, those things become camp now when you look back on them, you know.
Everybody in the wholesale block.
La bande-annonce promotionnelle visant les jeunes amateurs de cinéma est tout aussi kitsch.
Well, what's the verdict, kids? Another hit for Elvis?
I'll say.
Oh, yes.
That's the title song of Elvis's newest picture, Jailhouse Rock. In it, he sings 6 different songs.
6?
Gosh.
And something else very special.
Oh, what's that, Ted?
Elvis acts in Jailhouse Rock. His first dramatic singing role. Plays sort of a blackboard jungle type of kid, you know, and he's terrific. Elvis sings, Elvis fights, Elvis dances, and Elvis falls in love. This picture, Jailhouse Rock's a terrific picture for teenagers, and it's wonderful too.
Elvis occupe maintenant le 4e rang parmi les stars du box-office à Hollywood. Au début de 1958, on entreprend le tournage de son film suivant à la Nouvelle-Orléans. Ce film, que plusieurs considèrent comme le meilleur d'Elvis Presley, ne lui était cependant pas destiné à l'origine.
King Creole was being prepped for James Dean, and it was based on a book by Harold Robbins called A Stone for Danny Fisher. James Dean got killed. It was about a fighter, and they changed it to a singer and put Elvis in it.
Michael Curtiz est un réalisateur hongrois qui, avec le producteur Hal Wallis, a signé de grands classiques du cinéma comme The Adventures of Robin Hood avec Errol Flynn, Yankee Doodle Dandy avec James Cagney et Casablanca avec Humphrey Bogart. Arriveront-ils à recréer cette magie avec Elvis Presley?
Ronnie, what are you doing here with this man? How'd you get into this?
How do you get out? He was so good in it. He was very good in it. I think everyone was shocked. I think Walter Matthau and Paul Stewart and Dean Jagger and all the old hands were shocked at how good he was.
Now he crowns his meteoric rise to fame with a fiery burst of dramatic power as hard-loving, hard-hitting Danny Fisher, who sang his way up from the gutters of lusty, brawling New Orleans.
I was amazed at Elvis's talent. He had a great sense of timing. He was so normal, so real, so natural, and he amazed me. And he went with whatever you did. He would just fall right into it. He was wonderful.
Elvis's favorite movie that I ever knew about when I was dating him was King Creole. And he liked it because the storyline was good. And he liked it because the actors were serious actors that he was playing with or working with. And he would like to do more pictures like that, more dramatic pictures.
Le public aura enfin l'occasion de voir de quoi Elvis est capable avec une distribution et un scénario de première classe.
Michael Curtiz was Hungarian, and he had this thick accent. And I don't know if he ever really understood the English language, but he understood the camera and what to do, and his pictures were wonderful. And when I heard that Michael Curtiz was going to do a picture with Elvis, someone said, he's not, but you know, how do they get along? I said, Michael Curtiz can do anything with anyone and do it well.
He was sitting on a chair attached to a huge boom that went up and hovered over the whole dime store set. He had like a big horn that he screamed at people through. And he wasn't like being incredibly sensitive, because if he wanted somebody to move, he'd scream, "Little old lady, move out of the way! Get out of the way, you little old lady!"
Michael Curtiz, he didn't want Elvis for that movie in the beginning, and then he fell in love with Elvis, and I never will forget at the end of the movie, Elvis went up to Michael Curtiz, this was his 4th movie, and said, "Thank you, Mr. Curtiz. Now I know what a director is."
You're a pretty fancy performer, ain't you, kid? Now you know what I do for an encore.
King Creole was a serious picture. It wasn't like some of the others we did on the beach at Hawaii and getting in on a surfboard, and you know, those pictures did not have the depth, I think, that King Creole had.
And we ran it here at the studio, and I saw Elvis a couple of days later and told him I'd seen the picture, and I said, Elvis, this is the best thing you have done. It's wonderful. He said, you know why I was so good at it? Why? He said, because I was hiding. I was hiding behind the makeup of being someone else.
My heart is filled with your...
Elvis devra cependant laisser en suspens sa carrière cinématographique prometteuse. Peu de temps avant que débute le tournage de King Creole, le chanteur reçoit une lettre qui l'informe de son incorporation dans l'armée des États-Unis.
King Creole was coming up right after the holidays down in New Orleans, so Colonel Parker and his people got together with the U.S. government and the draft board and all. And at that time, since there was no war going on, the United States would give you time to clear up your business if you had a project going on. So they gave him a deferment to make King Creole, and he went down and he made King Creole, and he wasn't very happy that he was being drafted, because here you are making millions of dollars, the biggest star in the world, living at Graceland, living in mansions, living in penthouses and suites in Beverly Hills, and making motion pictures, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in the United States Army, a dog-faced soldier. Elvis was patriotic and all, but, you know, the truth be known, he wasn't very happy that he had to go in the Army.
Dès sa sortie en juillet 1958, King Creole obtient un succès fou. Après avoir été malmené par les critiques pour ses 3 premiers films, Elvis reçoit plus d'éloges qu'il n'en a jamais reçus et qu'il n'en recevra jamais. Le Los Angeles Times écrit « On aura tout vu. Voilà qu'Elvis Presley se transforme en acteur. »
It's gotten so I look longer at a dame with clothes on and one without. I'm not a hoodlum, but I am a hustler. I've had to be for a very simple reason.
Au moment où le public commence à peine à découvrir son véritable potentiel en tant qu'acteur dramatique, Elvis doit tout laisser tomber pour servir sa patrie.
While he's in the military, a lot of things happen to society, a lot of things happen to Hollywood, and things can't be the same when he gets back.
While Elvis was away, a lot of other teenage idols arose. You know, they couldn't fill his place, but little girls needed another hero. But when he came back, he took over all over again. Didn't wipe out the scene, all the other people continued, but Elvis was back and the king had returned.
Le sergent Elvis Presley est démobilisé en mars 1960. Il s'empresse de tenir une conférence de presse où il dévoile ses projets et ses ambitions.
I'd like to do a little more of a serious role, you know, because my ambition is to progress as an actor, which takes a long time, a lot of experience, because I have 3 pictures in a row to do, you know. I hope there won't be a rock and roll picture, because I've made 4 already, and you can only get away with that for so long.
The rock and roll idol of millions is back on the scene. He's also newly interested in becoming a serious actor. The Army's loss may be the drama's gain. Who knows?
I've heard stories that Elvis they wanted him for the movie West Side Story, and Colonel Parker said, no, he's not playing a hoodlum. You know, they wanted him for Tony. They wanted Elvis for the lead. Can you imagine the part of Tony, the Richard Beamer part, Elvis doing that? And the colonel said, no, that's a hoodlum. Those are gangs. We don't want Elvis associated with gangs. He's got enough of a hoodlum reputation, you know? We don't want him to be a hoodlum with the greasy hair and all of that. No way. Zip guns? No, Elvis is not a juvenile delinquent. He's not a hoodlum. He's a good, decent, wholesome American entertainer who's going to give you a roustabout.
Elvis est accueilli en héros partout où il va, même au studio Paramount où on le connaît pourtant bien.
The first day on the set was really different for me, but for Elvis, he was thrilled. You could see he had a big smile on his face. Everybody was welcoming him on the lot, craft people, all the grips and the assistant director.